What's happening, travelers? Nitzan Mosery, the traveling investor, back with another awesome show of the Traveling Investor Live Q&A. This is where we demystify the art of mastering your mind, body, and wallet. And, I always say that, we're born into our families and we're born into our society and we're born into our socioeconomic world. But what most people don't understand is that just because we are born into a specific family or a caste or an economic world, it doesn't mean that's where we have to end up. See, being born poor is not your fault, but dying poor is. And a majority of people live life by default. They accept the cards that they were dealt and they offer no resistance to mediocrity. See, here on the Traveling Investor Show, we talk about how to live life on your terms and create the life and finances and relationships that you dream of. So join me, Nitzan Mosery, your host, every week on the live Traveling Investor Show, where we demystify the art of mastering your mind, body, and wallet so that you can be at every softball game, at every ballet dance, go on vacation, and tell your boss to go kiss your ass. And in this show today, I've got a great guest that, we talk about being born poor and not playing the hand that you were dealt, but really stepping out of your comfort zone and seeing a vision and going after it. Right. And a lot of times, there are so many people out there that love what they do. They really do. They love it. They enjoy it. Their soul is fed from it, but they can't seem to, you know, m- break through that ceiling that industry that niche has, and they look for other sources of income, other ways to generate wealth, to generate passive income, right? Because you got people out there that, again, they love what they do, they love going to work, but they just want that extra income coming in and day out, so that they don't have to focus on the money aspect on what they're doing, but they really can enjoy it. And today's guest is nothing short from being exactly that type of person. And I'm just going to do a quick intro here. Uh, his name is Dennis, and Dennis is he's the founder. He's a small business owner for over 20 years. He's the founder of Barber Up Personal Care Products. He's the founder of Balonze Properties, a multi-million-dollar residential rental property operating in 3 different states. But Dennis, starting at the young age of 22 years old, he was living out of his parents' basement. During that time, he bought his own barbershop. You see, Dennis loves being a barber. He loves that aspect. He wanted to grow his wealth doing other things, and he went into real estate. He quickly bought a 2-family house in New Jersey to rent. He learned a lot of hard lessons. When you're out there doing it by yourself, you get banged up, you get knocked down, you learn from the school of hard knocks, and sometimes that's a very expensive school. But it taught him everything he needs to know to take his real estate career to the next level. So without further ado, what's happening, Dennis?
Thank you for that introduction.
Absolutely, my man. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I love the lifestyle, right? I was talking with Dennis a few minutes before the show, and I was asking him, I said, well, where are you? He goes, oh, I'm just hanging out at a hotel lobby, where I live. He lives in Delray Beach, Florida. And he's like, yeah, I'm just hanging out in a hotel lobby and just enjoying myself. And that's the beauty of real estate. That's the beauty of passive income, right?
That's it.
That's what
I
passive
mean,
income can do for you.
you said so much in that introduction. I could relate with everything you said. And like you said, doing what you love and then trying to break through and trying to make more from that. Um, so when I took over my barbershop at 22, um, it's a whole nother podcast on why I got in so early. But just to make a long story short, I took over a shop that was existing for 80 years in a high-end area in North Jersey. And I was a young kid. I had nothing. Like I said, I was living out of my parents' house. And I was just trying to make it for myself and, get out of the house and be independent. So I went from like 0 miles an hour to like 100 miles an hour. Like I had a built-in clientele. I had workers already. We had like 6 barbers, and here I am, 22 years old, and everybody else is like 50 years old and up. And I had big shoes to fill, and it took a lot of time, energy, effort, and so I guess when that happened, like my whole vision for my future opened up. I was like, damn, it's pretty overwhelming because you're in control of that. You know, I'm the boss. I'm in charge of my future, and how is this all going to line up? Like how long can
We're
I keep?
having some technical difficulties with the Wi-Fi feed, I believe.
Where did I? You hear me now?
Oh, is that my Wi-Fi? Let me continue talking. I'm going to see if it's my Wi-Fi.
Okay. So I was mapping out my future. Can you hear me now?
Yep. Go for it.
So I was thinking about, how long can I keep up, this intense pace, running your own business is really hard.
What made you want to buy your own business at the age of 22? What was it in you or what was it in that barbershop that you saw that intrigued you to go out and spend that money?
So at
Usually
the
22-year-olds are out partying and drinking and
yeah. So at the age of, I grew up in a middle class family. My dad worked all day long, and his way was, he came here, from the Middle East with no language and no money, and he had a skill. He used that skill, and he used that, to generate income, and then to buy real estate. That was his way. And his brother, my uncle, was a barber, and that's how he did it. And at 12 years old, he asked me if I wanted to work in the shop on Saturdays. So I was like, all right. I had nothing else to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that exposed me to that whole world. And I saw him. He looked pretty good. He was well off. He invested in his properties, and he ran his own business, and he looked really successful to me. And I was pretty amazed at it. So that's why at the age of 22, I was ready and prepared to take on a task like that, because I've been around it since I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the confidence, and I knew that, college wasn't my route, and that I want to control, my business and my future myself without being, employed by somebody. So,
yeah, well, that's great. You had sort of a mentor, a person that you looked up to, that you kind of mimicked, and you said,
it
I want what he has.
Yeah, I just, observed. I was a kid, and I was just watching, and I was seeing, like, I was exposed to older, workers in their 50s and 60s, and I see them struggling, trying to make ends meet, trying to do what they can on their chair. And I vowed that I didn't want to be like that. And I was going to invest early, and I wanted to get it out of the way. I wanted to take my risks early and not do it later. And I had the energy to handle it. And at the time, I wasn't married, no kids. So I just put my head down and worked my ass off.
Nice.
So getting back to what I was saying before, like when I first took over the shop, I was overwhelmed on my future and how it was going to shape out. I had two options. I could either scale out the shop into more locations, or I could do real estate and do it passively and still do what I love. And I like that option better because, that way gave me more flexibility. I like to travel, so we like to go, on vacations, and I don't want to, real estate gave me all the flexibility that I wanted. So I said, all right, first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to buy a property, and I'm not going to live in it. I'm going to buy something and rent it and just take it from there. So the first, I don't know, $20,000 I saved from the shop, I went and bought a 2-family house in New Jersey, and I was still living with my parents. And so this is where, like, I learned so much, and this is what shaped my whole future in real estate, this one deal. Because my criteria was, okay, $20,000, That would be good for a 10, 20% down on a 2-family. So that was my criteria. I didn't look at anything else. So I said, well, where could I buy a 2-family? So it took me, into this Belleville. I'm like, all right, Belleville, New Jersey, fine. So 20%, perfect, put it down. All right, had tenants in it, everything was good. I was collecting rent. Then the tenants left. I did all the handyman work. I did everything while I'm running the shop. I'm laying new floor. I'm painting the walls. I managed everything, A to Z. And then I go to rent it. I put an ad in the paper. There was no Craigslist at the time. There was no YouTube. I couldn't learn on YouTube. So I was just putting ads in the paper. It was like $950, 2-bedroom. Okay, so I must have had like 50 cars lined up to come in to see this apartment because nothing was going for that price range for a 2-bedroom in that area. So I'm standing at the door. I'm opening the door for these people. They walk in and they walk out. Walk in, walk out. Walk in, walk out. And I asked the lady, I'm like, listen, what's going on? Why aren't you interested? She's like, there's a lot of reasons. Number one, it's a one-way street. There's no off-street parking, really. I go, it was a shared driveway. I didn't look at that. The bedrooms were too small. They couldn't fit their king-size beds in the bedrooms. No closet space. I didn't think about that. I was only thinking from the investor point of view. I'm thinking, wow, 20%, this makes money at this much. So that right there really showed me how to do business, that one property. And then, so from there, this was in 2002. So, you remember 2005, things were rising really quickly in that.
Oh, yeah.
So luckily, I was able to capitalize on that. And the property winded up like tripling from where I bought it at, just based on, market. And the person buying it bought it with no money down at that time and 100% leverage, and they paid top of the market. So I was able to capitalize on that, take the profits, and then I switched my whole criteria now. Everything I learned from that property, I said, okay, totally opposite. So my first criteria was like jobs. Where are the jobs going in this country? I want to know where, because where I was, there was no jobs. There was a hospital, and that wasn't enough. I needed a place where we have high job growth. So that was one criteria. The other one was I need something that I could afford, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the properties, where I was living, it was like $200,000 a door. So to get a 2-family, it was $400,000 in my town. So I'm like, all right, 400,000. Let's say I buy it for cash, I'm worth 400,000, right? And then our taxes are high; they're like 20,000. So the profit margins weren't that great, and I'm gonna hustle and do all this hard work for just one property.
Mm-hmm.
I want to spread this out amongst more properties. I read a book. I wouldn't recommend it now, but at the time it hit. It was the right book at the right time. It was called How to Make $1 Million in Real Estate. And the one thing that I took out of that book was two things, actually. One was other people's money, OPM. And the next thing I took out of it was leverage. So,
which is kind of the same thing.
What's that?
It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. So what I learned from the leverage was what he made it clear in my mind was you have 100,000 cash, right? If you go buy $100,000 house, you're worth 100,000, right? If you take that same 100,000 and put 10% down on 10 homes, you're now worth $1 million. Your net worth is now $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And you're using other people's money to finance it, and you're controlling $1 million with 10%. What industry can you control $1 million with 10%? I can't find one. I mean, you could probably do it in futures, right? You could probably buy the futures market in oil, right? You can control
Yeah, but that's still very, very volatile,
Yeah, I'm going to get to that point.
you can't touch it.
I'm going to get to that point.
Okay.
Number one, it doesn't kick off dividends
Right.
like rent. And
Uh-huh.
number two, um,
Well, not
it-
only hold on, it doesn't only kick off dividends, it gives you depreciation, right? It gives you tax savings, right? Real estate
okay,
is one of the best ways to not pay taxes, to
right,
minimize your tax liabilities through real estate.
right. Um, so, so from that, I saw my parents, like my dad would just go out and buy a building, boom, cash, no borrowing. And I just saw where, how it reacted over the years by being around them. And so that's how I came up with that. And the next thing I wanted to mention about the contracts was it you don't get margin calls in real estate
Right.
because that's what happened in '08, right? We had a
Mhm.
decline in our values. So if I'm sitting there holding an oil contract and it declines by 50%, guess what? I'm going to get a phone call and say, listen, you got a margin call. You got to put up this much money now, or we're going to liquidate your position. In real estate, we don't get that call, right?
Mhm.
So, so basically, that's what I did. So '08, '05, I took my money and I just spread it out as over as many properties as possible in high growth job areas in single family homes. I was buying like $60,000 homes at the time, all brick homes with a garage, and I knew the tenant would want to be here because they have a driveway. I made sure they could fit their bedroom stuff. I made sure they have closet space. They have a backyard. There's no reason not to stay, right?
Mhm.
And you're close to your job. And I know you want to work here because there's a lot of jobs coming here. So it took me to Alabama.
Took you from Jersey to Alabama.
Yeah. So I told
Okay.
my wife, I said, listen, I literally took that cash. I did a 1031 exchange.
Uh-huh.
That's another thing I learned.
Explain what a
That
1031 is.
So a 1031 is where you take the profits from a sale of a property and exchange it for like-kind property tax-free within a certain time period, which is usually, I think, 90 days. So that's what
45
I did.
days to identify, 180 days to close after
Right. Yeah, you got
135
to
after
identify a
close.
property in 45 days. That's
Right.
correct.
Mhm.
So I hired a 1031 coordinator, and I told him, listen, I'm taking this money. I don't know where I'm going with it. I'm going to Alabama. I'm just going to drive around. I have a realtor, and I hired a property manager. Because a property manager is important because I grill the property manager about rents. I grill the real estate agent about sales. I don't mix the
Mhm.
two. I don't mix the two. I keep I keep them separate. So I told my wife we're going to Alabama. So we did. Got in a car. I met the agent. I had the property manager with me. I'm like, take me around. Show me what you got. The
Right.
first property they took me to was a builder. He came on a street and he built a street. Right, and they're all for sale.
Oh wow.
And it's close to a research park, which is the second largest research park in the country. It's called Cummins Research Park. So it was close to that, and I know that there's a lot of jobs there, and there's a lot of jobs coming. There's NASA space station there. You have Huntsville Arsenal, which has like $1 billion coming to that area for base realignment closure act. So a lot of jobs are coming there. A lot of government contractors coming there. You had Verizon Corporate Center there. You got FBI moving there from Washington. So there's a lot of jobs going there. So anyway, we're on the street, and the builder built like the whole street, and she's like, how many you want? You want one? We could give you one. It's no problem. I'm like, no, I want them all.
Mhm.
Looked at me. She's like, what? I go, yeah, I just want them all. I'll just take the whole right side of the street. Tell him to give me a deal. And he's like, he built like half of the street. The other is not even done yet. So my wife's looking at me too. She's like, what are you, crazy? You want the whole street? I'm like, yeah, I want to control everything. I want to control the rents here. Why not? So if I buy one, a guy's going to come next to me and I don't know what he's going to charge rent. And then the next guy, I don't know what he's going to charge rent. So it winded up being like 10 homes in a row on the
Mhm.
same
Oh wow.
bought them all, one shot. And I put 10% down, just like the book. said you use leverage, right? I leveraged it. I bought them all at once. I talked to the property manager. I'm like, how much rent can I get for these? She's like, this is a pretty good area. You can get around $800 a month, $850. I go, what are you going to charge me for property management fees? She's like, since you're buying the whole street, we'll give you a deal at 8%. I said, how easy is it to rent? I grilled her like all the questions, and I got to go with her. I felt more comfortable with her because she's going to be managing them. And, if there's no rent coming in, then that means she doesn't get paid. So she has skin in the game as well.
Right.
So, so she made me more confident, and that was my first purchase. It was 10 homes, $100,000.
That was your second purchase.
That was my first purchase. Purchase, 10 homes, 10 single-family homes. They all have the same layout, same everything. I paid $100,000 each, and I put 10% down.
There you go.
The cash flowed. I mean, I wasn't making crazy cash flow, but I was controlling $1 million worth of real estate with $100,000 down. And then
amazing what the power of leverage will do, right?
Yeah. So it was great when I first bought it, and then 08 hit, and then all of a sudden, the values came down a lot, and didn't bother me much because I'm not speculating here. I bought to collect rent, and that wasn't my intention to flip, so I didn't care. If the values go to 50,000, I don't care. My rents haven't changed.
That's the beautiful thing about multifamily, is that it's recession proof and inflation proof. As inflation goes up, rents go up, right? As a recession hits and it's a crappy situation, but it is what it is. People lose their homes.
Right.
They are then forced to rent. Then there's a huge demand for rental. Thus, rents go up. Right? It's the law of supply and demand. And that is why multifamily is such an awesome asset to own, to be involved in, to any way you can, whoever's listening, any way you can, you should do whatever it takes so that you can go and get yourself into a multifamily deal as quickly as possible. The tax benefits, the cash flow, the passive income, then you do the 1031. We just did a 1031. We bought a property for $5 million, sold it for $7.5 million, did the 1031 into a $9 million. So you see how we went from a $5 million asset to a $9 million asset, and we didn't pay any capital gains on that profit.
Yes.
And we just leveled up, right? And where else can you do that but real estate? Right. And multifamily is like,
Oh no! I'm sorry to cut you off, but
no, go ahead, man.
But we are in unprecedented times that I've never seen before. As a small business owner, I've seen 4 crises in the last 20 years. The first crisis I've seen when I first took over my business, I took over in June, and then in September we had 9/11. That was the first crisis. And I'm in business 2 months now, and I'm closing already. Because we're right outside Manhattan. I was 10 minutes outside of there. I had family, friends there. Our customers are from there. We shut down, and that was my first crisis. And to see, how Wall Street got shaken up by that, and how close my customers, since we were so close to them, we saw their families get affected by it. Then the next one was 08 market crash, and that one really woke me up. And I saw like Wall Street guys, making tons of money going to be teachers after 08.
I hope they're teaching people what not to do.
Yeah. I mean, that opened my eyes to how money works, and printing money. I wasn't aware of that. And how inflation, how to protect yourself in inflationary times. Now, I had to protect myself in many ways. Number one, what if I didn't go to work? What if I couldn't go to work? What if I broke my hand? I need my hands to cut hair, no?
Right, exactly.
Let's say, I don't know, let's say... but
hold on, but just to that thought, there's so many people out there today that they go, oh my God, if I stop working, right? Engineers, doctors, right? Attorney, People
Yeah.
that are required to provide a service, if they can't provide that
Yeah.
service, their income is over.
That made me
Right.
very uneasy at a young age, early in my business. Like I would that made me uneasy. So that immediately forced me to go do multi sources of income, and that was my way. And not only that, it protects you in inflationary times. Right? Look at us
That's right.
now. Look at me now. Let's talk about COVID. I've been in business for 20 years. I had my ups and downs. I built a team. I lost the team. I rebuilt the team. I lost the team, and then COVID came. I had a great team going. All of a sudden, they shut our business down for 90 days. Done. 90 days. My business closed.
Right.
No income.
No
What did
income.
I rely on? Thank God my real estate, and thank God my barber up product line. If it
Yep.
wasn't for those two to keep me afloat, no income. I have 3 kids
Yep.
at home. I have a wife. I have
That's
a
right.
house. We have a house.
right.
We were paying 25,000 a year in taxes up north in Jersey. We have a lot of bills, and there's no ink. My barber shop was collecting dust. So you know what I did? I turned it into a warehouse. I said, all right, no problem. You guys want to shut me down? This is going to turn into a personal care product warehouse. I ordered more products, and I'm packaging them. I'm labeling them. I'm making new product designs, and I'm sending them off to Amazon, because my Amazon business tripled in sales because people are
Sure.
buying on online. So that's what
Mhm.
saved. So it just goes to show, after 20 years, that all came together during COVID. It all came together where my other sources of income kicked in when I needed it the most. So it does work.
Absolutely. That's
My
awesome, man.
rents went up from because there's a huge demand for rentals, right? And so my rent went up. My equity has gone up. I'm able to take tax savings, like you were saying, and I was able to sell off some properties and pay off more properties, and it's been a good thing. And here's the real kicker. My wife's like, "Let's move to Florida." I was like, "I could," and I
Sure.
had,
Why not?
yeah, I can, and I did. I did. Nothing stopped me.
That's
And
right.
here's the thing: I didn't have to think about getting a job here, or no plan. Just sold my house, sold the business, and I'm good.
That's a beautiful thing, right?
It all came together when I needed it.
That's right. The passive income just keeps rolling in. Doesn't matter where you live. And that's why it's a beautiful thing, because we can do what we want. You want to go live in Europe, you go live in Europe. While you were talking, I was saying to myself, wow, I'd love to go back to Portugal where I met my wife. We should go for a month. Our anniversary is this month is our 20-year anniversary that we've been together. So I said, think, why not go? Yeah, we can go. We can go for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever it is, because first of all, we can do our business from wherever we want, but we still have that passive income coming
Yeah.
in every single month, whether we're sitting here in South Florida, whether we're sitting in Portugal and Spain and South America and wherever we are. That's the beauty of what we do.
So for investors coming into the market now, I mean, this is like the best time you could ever want to enter. And why I say that is, you got technology around you that is amazing. Like back in 02, we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have nothing. We had nothing. We had to talk to people. We had to go on the ground. We had to knock on doors. I had to walk into real estate agents' offices, property manager offices, sit down with them, and figure out what the hell's going on here. Where you could do it all on your desk at home and search the planet for information. You could talk to the best people on the planet on YouTube and learn so much there. It could accelerate you so much faster. And just listening to stories like mine will help fast track you so much faster than having to, reinvent the wheel again.
Oh, absolutely. So let's quickly recap what you learned after buying that first duplex.
That's
So
huge.
when you went in, you said you looked at was the return on
That's it.
capital.
That's it.
That
I
was it.
didn't care where the property was. This is
Right.
all the money I had, and this is all I could afford.
Now you were lucky to be in a position and in a position in time and in a position
Timing.
in location
Yes.
that your property was able to triple in
That's
value.
it. I would
Mhm.
not recommend it to anybody.
Right. So after that lesson, you realize that the number one thing to look for when you're going into a new market or when you're looking to buy real estate is job growth.
Huge.
Job growth is like the holy grail.
I kind of call it culture. What's the culture here? What's
Mhm.
going on here? Is there a housing shortage here? Do people need rentals here?
That's right.
What kind of job growth is here? If I can't go on Google and say new jobs in, I don't know, pick a town in the
Mhm.
U.S. If I don't see jobs, I'm not going. Now,
That's right.
if you say jobs in Huntsville, Alabama, you're going to see tons of new job relocations there. Why?
Mhm.
It's more affordable for corporations to move there. They got huge tax advantages to want to go there. You have a corporate park there, and you have a huge military base there. People need to live and stay. You got
That's right.
part-time contractors, you got full-time contractors, you got schools and universities. It's just booming area. And so
So those are the criteria that we look for, travelers. I hope you were taking notes because Dennis was just laying on you some serious knowledge, some serious bombs about what to look for in a market. Schools, military,
yeah.
job growth, right? That is the key to your success when you're looking into a new
and
market
and
is your
also
job growth.
the government needs to be behind it too. You have to see, like, is the government in your area like supporting new job growth? Do they want new job growth?
Mhm.
Are they building new buildings here, or are
Right.
are companies attracted to this area, and what's the reason why are they moving here? And I want to be a part of that.
Absolutely.
Just
Absolutely.
recently, I think it was a Toyota Mazda manufacturing plant, $1 billion manufacturing plant is coming to North Alabama.
That's huge, right?
So check this out.
How many people are they going to employ?
So I was just going to say that. Let's say they employ 1,000 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many jobs for every one job that's created, 3 more jobs behind it are created.
That's right.
So the one guy will work at the manufacturing plant. Then you need more services, right? The butcher, the hair salon, the nail salon. These are
Mm-hmm.
all extra jobs created because of that one job. So it's
That's right.
essentially 3,000 new jobs coming to the area, not 1,000.
That's right. Plus, yeah, and that's why universities are great, right? Because universities, not only do you have tens of thousands of students, but you have thousands of faculty as well. And as the university grows and the
Right.
faculty grows, the area has to grow, and all these service-oriented jobs have to grow
Yes.
as well to service these people. So that's awesome.
So I kind of look at that like a freight train. And then
Mm-hmm.
how can I position myself to get ahead of that freight train and try to grab some of that action there?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you want to open a business, perfect time to open a new business, perfect time to start a rental business, perfect time to maybe do a service business. And services are needed when new jobs are created, especially
Absolutely.
when they first create the job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That is key. Well, when we look into a new market, we look to see the local government, right? The mayor, city council members, are they job friendly? What
Yeah,
kind of tax incentives are they giving to all these corporations
yeah,
and companies to come in? How
hmm
many jobs are being created? How many multifamily properties are being built and are under permit to being built,
yeah,
right?
hmm
What's going on over there? We talk to brokers as well to find out what's the newest and hottest upcoming area. We talk
yep,
to the Chamber of Commerce, right? We, like you said, we get to feel the pulse of the city
yeah.
and find out which side of the street is the right side of the street to be
Just
on.
just on a simple, you don't even need to talk to anyone anymore. You could just go on Google and just say jobs in your town, and you can get a feeling there on
Mhm.
like, like if the Chamber of Commerce doesn't come up and like say something, then I would be a little weary about that.
Right.
If you don't see like a whole list of jobs, and who's coming, then that means nothing's happening there.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, probably jobs are leaving, and they don't
Yep.
want to publicize that.
Yep. U-Haul.com. Check one-way destinations.
That's
right?
it. Yeah.
That's a
it.
great place. I mean, and like you said, there's so much technology today that you can go online and you can look up the Milken report. You can Google where are millennials moving to? Where's the number one job growth? Where's the number one this? Where's the number one that? Right? Where's the number one best place for hikers?
Yep.
Right? If that's your thing and you want to rent to hikers, right? So you can even niche down as far as that and find your properties and find your markets going down to that tightness of a niche and start serving those people.
And here's another thing I think new investors should think about, like paying a price for the property. Everyone's, during this pandemic time, yes, prices did go up by 30%, but, that shouldn't deter you or stop you from, looking at properties and just looking at the numbers. Because let's say you did buy at the high there, right? And when you did your numbers, your rent was good. I'll give you an example. We bought a condo here in Florida when we first came here. I told my wife, listen, we can't find a house. Let's just buy a condo. And let's just stay there. And then when we're done with it, we'll leave it as a rental. So let's just do it that way. Fine. So we bought it. And I didn't know the market that well. And at the time, I paid market price. I didn't negotiate. We paid market price, and this was during the pandemic, right before the 30% increase. And I remember other realtors telling me, "Oh, we could have got that apartment the same when you're buying for $100,000 a year ago." I go, "Well, that's not the price now. It's
right.
Well over 200 now." And so I paid the price, right? And at the time, we figured, listen, the rents are going to be 2,000. I'm going to buy for 200, and we're going to make some money when we rent it. And what winded up happening was we lived in it, and then we found another one, and we left it, and we rented it. And since that time, the rents went up by $1,000. Right?
There you go.
So that was in the middle of a pandemic. I bought it sight unseen. I didn't even go to the property. The realtor showed me on her phone. I bought it on the phone. I didn't even see it. I didn't see it until I came here. So my point is, like, that little purchase there should just go to show, like, no matter what market you're in, don't ever let it stop you from, as long as your rental income covers what you're investing, don't worry about, the timing, because you're never going to time it right? It's impossible. You don't know what's going to happen next. We didn't know rates are going to go from 3.5 to 6.
Sure.
I
mean, shit, if I would have known 15 years ago that the house across the street from me that 15 years ago was selling for $700,000 would sell today for $2.5 million, I would have bought 5 of them.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess,
you live and learn.
Yeah. So don't let it stop you. And I think now is like the perfect time, even though they jacked rates, the rents are still high, and they can cover the 5-6% loan that you're going to probably be getting, and it's going to protect us now for the future, because they're going to be printing more money, right? And if you keep that money on idle, you're just losing value. I think it's going to be worse now than ever. We're going to see our money losing power really fast.
I agree. You got to make your money work for you.
Holding a loan in these periods is probably the best thing you could do, because your purchasing power for today is going to be different than tomorrow, right? And you're able to take a loan out on yesterday's purchasing power. So I think now is like a great time to own a loan.
Oh, absolutely. We have a property where we're looking to sell, and we have 8 years left on the note, and it's at a 3.8% interest rate. Why would someone not want to assume that?
Exactly.
Right? People are going to want to assume that all day for the next 8 years. Exactly. Sit on a $3.8 million.
It's a wealth transfer. It's a wealth transfer from the bank to you. When can that ever happen, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a wealth transfer.
Absolutely. Well, Dennis, man, it's been awesome. I really appreciate your story. You had the vision. You had you took action. That's what a lot of people out there today are lacking. They'll go to, they'll read books, they'll listen to podcasts like this, they'll look at shows like this, they'll go and, and go to weekend boot camps and masterminds and spend all this money and whatnot. But 90 some odd percent of these people, if not 99%, will never take action. You are in the top 1, 2, 3% of the people in this country, if not in the world, that actually take action. You've taken action, you took action, you continue to take action, and that's an inspiration to anyone who's sitting on the sideline, hemming and hawing, going, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? You got to take action. For shit to happen, you got to make it happen, right? For things to change, you got to change, right?
Yeah,
For things to be different, you got to be different. If you want action in your life, if you want things to change, you got to take massive amounts of action today, immediately. And I commend you for that.
Thank you. Awesome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. If I could share my story to one person, if they could take a couple nuggets from it, I mean, that's probably the best thing that could happen.
Absolutely, man. So if a barber from Jersey can create wealth and a passive cash flow through real estate, we can all do it, right? I mean, look at me. Right. I'm not a college graduate. I'm a college dropout. I don't have a degree. I don't have formal education, and thank God I was able to do it. Right? You just need to take action. Everybody makes mistakes. We learn from our mistakes, and then we just continue. Right? We don't let them stop us. We don't let them derail us from moving towards where we want to be.
That's correct.
Yeah. So Dennis, man, thanks so much for being on the show. I look forward to doing some business with you as well. And travelers, thank you so much for being here again. We look forward to seeing you next week somewhere on Spaceship Earth. And do us a favor, you'll be able to find the Traveling Investor Live show on all of your favorite podcast stations, iHeart, Spotify, Roku, and all that good other stuff. And if you are looking to or you want to sponsor some of our shows, feel free to get in touch with us. We'd love to have you as our sponsor, and we want to spread the word. So thanks for being here. I'm Nitzan Mosery, the host of the Traveling Investor Show. I'll see you next week somewhere on Spaceship Earth. Take care.